not all objects are easy to describe in terms of simple, basic shapes. It's useful to think about the way that you can draw an object. And some of those essential building blocks, the idea of drawing a cube, a sphere, and a cone, as well as a pyramid, can help inform the drawing of many, many more complicated objects. These are sort of freehand examples, and obviously one could start to look at a more clearer refinement of that ellipse by thinking, well, you know, that curve perhaps is a bit straighter, you know, is this perpendicular to this point, is that angle the same as that? But it gives you a sort of basic idea, in the same way that when you think about this plane, if one was to draw through the diagonal here, then that gives you the positioning of the apex, in which case then these angles through here could be changed. But a very simple kind of sense of how you draw these objects is very, very useful. The next thing that's also really useful is to think about the idea of lighting. So a cube, let's say for argument's sake light is hitting the cube here. This plane of the cube will be in shade, and it might be that this side of the cube is maybe a slightly lighter or darker tone than this one. Obviously, if it was illuminated from this side, then this would be light, and these corresponding planes, as they move away from the light source, would be darker. We could also think about the space behind the object. Obviously, the drawing of this is a little bit crude, so I'll just go backwards there. Take a little bit more care with my drawing to think about how the edge is rendered before I then block in. And obviously now what one starts to create is a sense of this object coming out of space. If I change my tone here again and think about this rounded spherical form, again if I think about the light coming from this direction, then this will be a light side. And what tends to happen with a sphere is that there will be a certain point where the shadow areas will start. Now what tends to happen is that you get a cast shadow. But what you tend to find is that light can be bounced back. So often the junction between the area of light and dark can be somewhat more sharper in relief and more contrasty than the middle. And again, this area through here might have some bounced light inside of it. This cone, if it's receiving light from this side, may again have a light side and a darker side. If I just change my sizer brush for the moment, again this will be perhaps the dark side, this the light. Again, that junction between the light and the dark tends to be slightly greater. Again, the pyramid will have dark sides and light sides. And again, to give these objects a sense of three-dimensionality, they will produce most likely cast shadows. And again, the cast shadows will give your objects a degree of three-dimensionality.